Why I use analog gear. I have a handful of people that ask me on the regular, why are you using analog gear when the plugins are so good nowadays? One being, using like some of this analog outboard gear compressors is just a lot more fun to use to start with. Sometimes you want to reach out and you want to grab stuff and bend audio with your hands, not with the mouse. The second reason being, really speeds up a mix for me. When it hits some of these transformers and tubes, it really softens the audio in a way that can take away the harshness. So what I find is when I run a lead vocal through, say, the RS-124 or the Blue Stripe, does something really beautiful to the top end where it's almost like it deharshes that upper frequency. It glues the track in a way that a software compressor just doesn't. I feel like you can achieve a very similar sound stacking 2 or 3 processors on a lead vocal, but it's fun to use and I can get it done really quick. And so it makes the mix process faster. I'm more happy with how the vocal sounds much more quickly. So that's the other reason. The third reason being is I do feel like there still is a bit of a sonic edge there. It adds a depth that I feel these plugins just haven't figured out yet. Plugins to me sound very lacking in the dimension area, when some of these hardware compressors, they just have a depth and they add a vibe and a life that these compressors don't typically do. That is the reason I do it. Some of the cons, I guess, would be, when I'm mixing a track and I'm, say, 90% of the way through and a producer hits me up and changed a lyric in the lead vocal, or they've retuned something and they want me to fly it in. I have to be very careful that I'm recalling my settings well so that I can just take that little part that they've sent me, rebounce it, and then fly it in. So it does make that process a little more annoying, but it's not a big deal, and I feel like it comes out sounding better at the end. So how do I use them? I don't use them on everything. I normally find myself using them on lead vocals, a bass guitar track, crushing a mono drum room. The RS-124 is unreal on acoustics, so if it's 2 mono acoustics, I'll normally get those through the RS-124. It adds some beautiful tone, it locks them in place, then I don't have to do much else with them. Maybe I'll add a little bit of room to make them fit in the track where they need to go, but I am 90% in the box. There's just a few elements that I will send out to these hardware compressors. And some tracks, if it's like a pop track, sometimes I just don't do it at all, because these compressors can soften the top end, and sometimes you don't want that, and you don't need a ton of low end and body that some of these compressors add. So if it's a pop track, I might not touch any of this stuff, but I would rather have it and be able to just patch it in when I need it, as opposed to not having the ability to shoot something out to a hardware compressor. So I love using them, don't always use them, but when I do, man, they're nice. If you're mixing in the box, you don't need to go out and buy all this stuff. I feel like once you have money starting to come in from mixing or producing, then you can start exploring this, but do not get hung up on feeling like you need these things to make professional sounding records. You just don't. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.